Minnesota's in trouble because you got this guy, Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. I'm not pronouncing it correctly, not meanly. I pronounce nothing correctly. But he has been convicted of the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme and was ordered for removal in 2004. But he is very close with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Governor Tim Walz. And this is what they allowed him to get away with.
All right, this news just breaking moments ago. Fox News has obtained photos of one of the Somali illegal immigrants wrapped up in the Minnesota fraud scandal, posing with several high-profile Minnesota Democrats, including Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Governor Tim Walz. The man pictured is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the country in 2000 and has had an order for removal since 2004.
So we probably could have saved millions, if not billions of dollars, if these political leaders over in Minnesota just allowed ICE to do their job, or at least enforce the border or anything, or just notice that this fraud was occurring. But no, they're more interested in diversity or defeating Trump than in protecting their taxpayers.
He also has a prior conviction in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud. ICE tells
so he did it in Canada. Why are we letting him see? If we were able to vet the people coming in and we knew that he was arrested in Canada, has a criminal history in Canada, but doing the same thing, we would have stopped him from doing it over here too. Ridiculous.
News, Ibrahim was granted temporary protected status for 10 years, but should have never been eligible.
How was temporary 10 years? Can anybody in chat let me know? There is no vetting. Let me know in chat. How is 10 years considered temporary? Is Abrego Garcia still in the U.S.? That's crazy if he is. I thought he was in Africa by now.
We are going to have more on this in our next hour. All right.
Okay, so insane to think that, but remember, they said originally they thought it was going to be $1 million of fraud. I'm sorry, $1 billion of fraud. Now that's skyrocketing to $8 billion. It's getting bad.
Fraud investigators are finding in Minnesota is growing by the day. Kelly Loeffler, who leads the Small Business Administration, says in the 2 days her agency has been investigating the state, they've uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud just 2 days in. Several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have also told lawmakers they believe the total amount of fraud could total up to more than $8 billion. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire.
I can't imagine him being able to win again with voter ID. I think that's what they're so scared of. If we're going to vet who's coming in the country, we got to vet who's voting for who gets to come in the country as well. With that, I don't think he wins. I honestly don't think he wins.
For all of this happening under his
What's up,
watch,
Nux? Thanks. Appreciate it.
He says they have paused these programs. They've brought in outside auditors to get an idea of how far reaching this fraud was. They're taking steps to keep it from happening again. And he's defending his management of the state while also taking shots at Republicans and the president.
Oh, it's always orange man bad. It's never, hey, look, fraud was committed. I'm sorry. I'm here to fix it. Like, this is the perfect face right here. But it's never about fixing the problem. It's just about, but what about Trump? Trump is doing this thing. Racism, white nationalism, MAGA conservative. Like, just always, it's like they're doing Mad Libs of all the key phrases that are supposed to get their base all riled up. It's like, no. This is $8 billion, guys. This is enough to feed all the needy. It's enough to house most of the homeless vets. Like, it's enough to fix a lot of our issues in our country. But guys, you know what the real issue is? Not the $8 billion that I allowed to happen in fraud, and also the scary concept that he possibly could have been getting kickbacks from this fraud. It's Donald Trump, guys. He's the problem. It's just the same thing I see in Los Angeles, where it's like you can have Democrat mayors for decades, Democrat governors for decades, but in Los Angeles, the biggest issue we have is Donald Trump. Absolute nonsense.
While also taking shots at Republicans and the president.
And in spite of the headwinds we're up against, Minnesota ranks economically, economic growth, happiness, number of people insured.
This is probably juking the stats. We see it in California all the time. Oh, crime rates are down. It's like, no, crime is up. The reporting of crime is down. So I imagine these are all lies as well.
Education levels near the very top. So I'll tell you what, I have no interest in having this state look like Oklahoma or Mississippi. And if folks are going to commit crimes here, thinking because our generous spirit and our programs that we have is going to give them some kind of cover, they are sadly mistaken.
They're sadly mistaken because he said out there, oh, I arrested all these Somali fraudsters in my state. It's like, no, these were federal charges. You allowed it to happen. I personally believe you were financially benefiting on the back end yourself, but you allowed this to happen for years. Now you're taking credit when Trump, you're simultaneously taking credit for Trump coming in there and arresting them, but also for defeating Donald Trump. He's bad, but him arresting them is good, but that was actually me when it wasn't. Ridiculous.
Yeah, Minnesota is also now home to the single largest pandemic fraud scheme in the country.
And remember how much of those pandemic dollars got sent fraud to Africa and to China? There was nothing to control it. It was just about saying, hey, as long as the Democrats can get their cut too, and Joe Biden can say, oh, we're fixing it by spending all this money, they don't care where it went, and it's sad.
Republicans argue that Walz and other Democrats opened the door to this.
Yeah, they opened the door to it. They allowed it because you see this over here. Like, oh crap. From Dr. Oz, who, I know he ran for Senate. He lost to that large guy in a hoodie. What was his name? Chad. What was that guy's name? He's kind of based now ever since he had John Fetterman. Thank you, Troglodyte. John Fetterman, after I think it was his stroke or something that's like a stroke, he came back kind of based. It was crazy. He lost to Fetterman. I wasn't certain he was going to be much better. I thought he was going to be a rhino, but actually he's turning out to be pretty good. But him describing the Medicaid fraud, just the Medicaid fraud, not the housing fraud, not the homeless fraud, not the other frauds the Democrats have been getting away with. The Medicaid fraud that was going overseas is startling.
It's true. A Somali fraud ring in Minnesota stole over $1 billion from Medicaid.
Mind you, it might be 8.
How did this happen? Well, Medicaid programs are run by the states, which in Minnesota means the Tim Walz administration. Governor Walz and the state's other Democrats rely on Somali votes to get elected, so they decided to look the other way.
Exactly. They're buying votes. So remember, it used to be, hey, this minority was easy to buy votes from, but then after they've been realizing decade after decade, possibly centuries from now, we've been voting for this party and they haven't done anything to enrich our lives. Maybe it's time to try different things. Like, what is it? The Donald Trump made his biggest gains between 2016 and 2024 in the black male, Latino male, and I don't know if Asian males were, but it's like in minority male populations, they swung more for Trump. The place that Trump lost a lot of votes was college-educated white women. But the idea is now that group became harder to just buy their votes. So now it's like, well, how about we just bring in more people, give them temporary citizenship, give them, a 10-year asylum claim, and also give them a social security card. So just so they can work, not necessarily so they can vote, because that would be illegal. But there's also no way they can detect in these sanctuary cities and states that if they were voting, they have no fail safe on that. So yeah, they're buying votes. We know it. Thanks, Nux, for raiding the chat.
Because they were afraid of, quote unquote, political backlash.
Exactly.
Don't take my word for it. That's what a Somali American fraud investigator told the New York Times. When these scammers realized that nobody was guarding the cash register, they went gangbusters.
Yeah, they got arrested in Canada, and Canada's so known for being so secure, but they got arrested in Canada, realized they couldn't get away with it over there, came down to America, and just got away with it for years. You don't get to billions. They don't start off stealing $1 billion. They start off with maybe like $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Once they got in the millions, they're like, what? Nobody's noticing it. Going gangbusters. It's crazy. Sad. Yep. Flyboy says our leaders have no spine. It's been that way for a long time, and it's unfortunate because there's no alternative. Like, everybody's like, oh, Decoy, he's a Republican. It's like, no, I think Republicans are equally, if not more, garbage. Because at least with the Democrats, when they're doing stuff for their base, they're accomplishing a few things. Republicans are just like, oh, you know what? We're the party of making the Democrats pump the brakes while they shove down their agenda on the American people. They're very ineffective on actually getting anything done. If they were smart, they'd be getting rid of the filibuster in Senate. They'd be packing the Supreme Court. They'd be doing all the things they know the Democrats are going to do when they get back in office. But no, rhinos, Republicans in name only, they're a garbage party. They're just not serious about anything. So yeah, there's nothing good on either side. I am used to be, I'd say, America First type candidate, but now, not candidate, I'm not running for anything. America First type political person. Now I'm not Republicans, America only type person, where stop funding wars overseas, stop being the world's bank, stop being the food bank for everybody that says, hey, look, there's suffering in this third world nation. Decoy, your taxes, they need to go to paying them. Hey, Commerce Shadow, you need to go out there and start paying for transitions over in Argentina. TX Jules, you got to go over there and pay for the shelling of our enemies. And 25 Jaime, you need to be paying for the shelling of our allies too. Like that's what we've been for far too long. That's why I say I'm not America first. I'm America only now. And all political parties are garbage. I still say vote. I would still say Trump is a presidential vote that I don't regret. And also I probably will vote for a JD Vance, Marco Rubio ticket in the coming election. But I don't trust too many other politicians.
One program designed to provide housing stabilization assistance to patients ballooned to $104 million, when 4 years ago it was projected to cost only $2.6 million.
That's a problem with the blank check governance, where there's too many things that happen in California where it's like, hey, I'll pay for a bill or vote for a bond that'll build a freeway that'll connect here to here. There'll be an off-ramp or something. You pay the bond, you vote for it, you pay the bond, it doesn't get built, and they say, well, you know what? We use that money for schools. So here's another bond to pay for that last thing we promised you. It's like, nobody went to prison for that. If the taxpayers give you $1 billion or like a couple $1 million to build a freeway off-ramp, and you don't do it, it went somewhere else, you embezzled it, essentially, you should go to prison. Just like if I took $1 million from my employer and I used it on something else, even if it was for goodwill, it's like, no, go to prison. That's it. But it never happens.
Some of these taxpayer funds may have even ended up in the hands of a Somalian terrorist group.
Yes.
Scary stuff. When CMS
Scary stuff, and we're going to play. Should I play it right now? No, we'll play it later. We have Ilhan Omar. They're telling her, hey, are you worried about us funding, literal groups that perform terrible things overseas? And they straight up, she's just kind of like giggling. Just kind of found it funny. Scary stuff.
Aware of the housing program situation, Minnesota insisted it could clean up its own mess.
Never did.
A few months ago,
it
admitted it could not. So we stepped in to shut down the fraud-infested housing initiative.
Good.
Today, we're taking action on more than a dozen other programs, which I've outlined in the post below. Our message to Walls is clear. Either fix this in 60 days or start looking under your couch for spare change, because we are done footing the bill for your incompetence.
No, and that's like, I don't want it to stop there. We shouldn't be done footing the bill for incompetence. Oh no, like they took advantage of us. We're wagging our finger. We're Republicans. We don't like that, so don't do it again, because we're not gonna do it. Watch out, we might not do anything about it next time. It's like, no, people need to go to prison. People need to go to prison. Yeah. Thanks, Dead Flesh, for the super chat. We'll cover all this stuff at the end of the show, just to kind of keep the vibe or keep the flow of it. Thank you, though. But yeah, no, it needs to be more of a wag of a finger. Get it together, or we're stepping in. It should be no strikes. As soon as we found it, they're going in there arresting people. It might not be popular to go after Tim Walz or Ilhan Omar legally, but the Democrats broke the seal when they gave Donald Trump that mugshot. It's already open now.
This administration will never stop fighting to protect the vulnerable Americans who rely on these programs and the taxpayers who fund them. We're going to crush waste, fraud, and abuse.
Good. Do I believe they can do it to that? Do I believe he has a capability of delivering on that promise? Not really, because here's the thing: it's like what they say when they tell you who they are, believe them. Let's see, just there you go. When they tell you who they are, believe them. Look at this. They openly admit they don't represent America. They can be in our Congress, they can be our mayors, they can be our governors, but they will never represent us because they take another country first. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but when you become an American citizen, because you have to be an American citizen to run for office, don't you have to pledge allegiance to America? If you come on TV and you say, oh, I'm the first Somali mayor in Maine, but I also represent Somalia first, doesn't that violate the oath you took to is it the Constitution? I forget. When you became a U.S. citizen, yeah, they said that. That should be instant deport. You should see this on TV, stop being limp-wristed and say, hey, look, you lied when you became a citizen. It doesn't look popular. It looks kind of like the Republicans are escalating a civil war, but unless you start to actually hold people up to their pledges to the country to become citizens, it means nothing to them.
policies, how can the politics in Somalia can be, resonate what we have here in the United States, the democracy that we have. How can you help us, be a better country and build back what we used to have back in long time ago? So.
And one thing that bothers me about this is right now online, they might be bots, so it might just be like, them trying to make a narrative that doesn't actually exist. But you see a lot of people saying, oh, Somalia is a literal paradise. Oh, you guys are trashing on us, like saying they're a third world country and Trump's just being a racist when he says that stuff. But you can't sit here and say it's this utopia. Look at all these good scenes. Look how great it is. They're so prosperous. Americans are just jealous how good they are. Then also say, we're seeking asylum from this. It's not a trash heap, guys. It's paradise. It's paradise on earth that we need to seek asylum for, and also we need U.S. government tax dollars to fix. It can't be both things at the same time. Tim Walz always tries to say, hey, I'm fixing the fraud. Simultaneously, Trump looking for fraud is bad. The federal government's prosecuting these people, but by the way, I'm doing it too. Like, it doesn't work. They're just lying to your face.
Hopefully, we will be able to help our country, our former country.
Our country. She actually corrected herself. Hopefully, we can correct our so we can help fix our country. I mean, our former country. No, it's America. You here? You want to represent the Somalians in America, like Somali Americans? By all means. If they're Somalian citizens, they're here. They're contributing. They love American values. I don't even mind the whole religious aspect because we should have a freedom of religion. I just think you can't say, I don't like American values. You need to adhere to what I believe. Like that incident over in Cinnabon where it seems like they were upset at the lady for not wearing, how do you say, PG-13 on all these platforms. But just the idea that if it's about imposing your beliefs on this country, I don't think that that's something we should be allowing in our political system.
Somalia and policies, how can the politics in Somalia can be, resonate what we have here?
I'll loop back around, but it's bad enough they openly say it, but it's crazy how much he doesn't like it being thrown in his face. Because mind you, he keeps on trying to say, I prosecuted him. He didn't, but look at him get lashed out in a regular presser. Remember, they didn't do any actual like, what do they call them, media scrums when running for president because they know, look how inept he is. It's so bad.
Well-being first and foremost.
Hold on, I think I need to make the volume way louder.
You said that you take responsibility for putting people in jail, but all the fraud so far has been federal prosecutions. Why did you say
they prosecute?
He's like, why do the facts matter? That's just a small aspect that it was a federal prosecution. They were prosecuted. I didn't step in the way, so no, he couldn't have found it. If it wasn't Trump in office, if he was VP and whoever he appointed to be governor after he left, I think they appointed governor. His lieutenant governor, possibly. After he leaves, they were never going to find it. We'd still be sending billions upon billions of dollars to this other country through fraud, and now you're trying to take credit for it. Ridiculous. I think even this girl back here is like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
I didn't erroneously say that. We're the ones that our agencies are bringing it up.
We? Now it's we? I thought Trump was a racist for looking into this. I thought when they arrest one of us, they arrest all of us. Now it's we? Scumbag.
We're referring them over. This is how this works. We were through it through the BCA. This is Drew Evans and the superintendent of BCA. These are Minnesota folks who work in state government, who are the ones that are helping build the case.
And how come they're not getting charged locally? If it was a state case, if it was the city that was getting them, if it was a state, they'd be getting local charges, but they're getting federal charges. And you simultaneously say it's a bad thing to find it. Ridiculous. He wants a lot of your face, and look how angry he gets. He's just like, they said he's like a young Biden. I'm starting to believe that every day now. Every day more and more.
Turn it over to the federal authorities. So that is totally false. That is totally wrong. It is Minnesotans. It is Minnesota's investigators. It is the IGs that are over there, Investigator Clark.
And why did it take the feds to finish it? Why did it take the feds to do anything about it? You've been cornered.
They're doing the things of putting people in jail.
Well, then why aren't there state prosecutions?
Is the volume still down? I think that's all we can do. Sorry.
The federal laws that they're choosing to do federal prosecutions. We will prosecute on every single thing we can. Many cases we get longer ones. Is your assertion is that we don't have anything to do with the investigation?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's not an assertion. She said to your face, he's just trying to buy time.
That is totally false. We're the ones who brought it to them. We're the ones who alerted the FBI. We're the ones. We turn these cases over every day. Drug cases, human trafficking cases. we would
Wait, wasn't he one of the guys crying over Kilmore getting deported? Because Kilmore was known, well, he has that video of him allegedly trafficking the people. They don't care. They only care when they get caught. It's sad.
prosecute them. What I can tell you is I am deeply concerned now that they are being federally prosecuted, because just yesterday the president commuted and pardoned a sentence of a fraudster who took billions and billions of dollars, who served 12 days and was sentenced by an...
See that again? $8 billion of fraud in his state. Did nothing about it. Called the prosecutions racist and Trump is bad. So what's the biggest thing happening that's impacting Minnesota residents of the $8 billion of fraud? Donald Trump. Did you know what about them? Like, these used to work. You really used to work for the voters. But now they can't afford anything anymore, and they realize, you know what, we had to vote for Donald Trump, or we're sick of the lies of Biden. Nobody voted for Kamala Harris. The Democrat Party just chose her, and she chose him because he wasn't of the ethnicity or the religion of the better VP candidate in the Democrat Party. Now... it doesn't work. You can't say Orange Man bad. And here he is. He's so angry. He's like, why aren't you guys eating this up?
American jury to 45 years.
Deflect. Yep.
So I am concerned that he releases the fraudsters because they're on federal. If they don't want to prosecute it, we will certainly take them. But this is normal.
So the moment the Somalian community says, why are you deporting our people, blah, 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 he'll bend. I don't believe a single word he says, because you have the Minnesota mayor afraid that, remember, this is a guy in Minnesota that has to campaign and he has to speak to his constituents in a language that's not English. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it does. Even in communities that are like predominantly Korean. Like, you'll never see Mayor Karen Bass going to Koreatown talking in Korean, going to Chinatown talking in Chinese. Like, it doesn't happen, except for over in Minneapolis, they somehow only cater to a group of people that don't speak the language.
What you see is a visual representation of we have your back, and when you come for one of us, you come for all of us.
They're clapping, and I hate the idea of this, or if you come for one of us, if we were coming for an innocent Somalian guy, he's paying his taxes, he loves NFL football, he's been in America for several years, he just wants to be here, live the American dream. Plenty of them like that. If they just kick down the door and say, you know, you've been a citizen here, you work at the factory, time to go to jail. Yeah, a lot of people probably have an issue with that. Or they're, we're going to deport you now. People probably have an issue with that. But if it's only people that are like, hey, you were arrested for fraud in Canada and we didn't vet you when you came in, or you're wanted for R-ing women in your home country, or you have been beating your significant other in America. We also know your visa's expired, so it's time for you to go to jail. You have a criminal history, you are not a net asset to the country, and you're also not even supposed to be in the first place. When you deport that person or find them at their worksite or whatever it may be, Mayor Frey says the illegal criminal that's doing bad things in our country is the same thing as the guy that's just trying to live his life, that he happens to be that same ethnicity. They were soft snitching on themselves that they are indeed racist because they can't keep putting us all in the same bin. The criminal Asian Crip gang member that shoots up a party where several kids, their lives are done. And Decoy voice the tax-paying guy that started his own business. They cannot tell the difference between both of us because we're the same minority. That's what they're soft snitching on themselves every single time. He thinks he's being bold. You come for one of us, you come for all of us. But he's rolling together law-abiding people with the criminals with white people, and he thinks he's doing something. It is crazy how what is it? The soft bigotry of low expectations has leaked out to outright racism. I feel like they're clapping for me right now, so I'll take that.
We reject the hateful rhetoric of Donald Trump. What you
again, Donald Trump, guys. $8 billion of fraud. Gangs stopping like award-winning journalists like Nick Shirley from just doing his job, asking questions. Hey, this is the fastest growing religion in the country. Nothing negative, just saying, hey, you guys are the fastest growing religion in the nation. Tell me more about your people. Being very respectful, able to go to all sorts of third world nations in every city and talk to people that may not be a fan of his journalism, but Nick Shirley's free to do journalism and freedom of speech and record on public areas. He could not do that in, I almost said Somalia, in Minnesota because the gang started tracking him. But you know what the biggest problem is? Not the fraud, not the no-go zones in America in your own city, but Donald J. Trump. He's the main issue. It's nuts. Because you have over here, like, this is so bad. A safari restaurant whose owner was convicted of $250 million feeding our future fraud was seen with Ilhan Omar at her campaign event. I guess I can't play the music, but yeah. Here they are, dancing on stage. Ilhan for Congress because apparently maybe she looks the other way when they commit fraud. And here's her outright. This is the safari restaurant. Like, here's her. I don't know if I would consider this a campaign, but here's her. She's definitely connected to this group that stole hundreds of millions of dollars from, feeding hungry kids, but the hungry kids just didn't exist. Speaking of, like, oh my God, wait. This is entirely in a different language. This is not even for Americans. This is wild. So she says, I'm very happy to be here at Safari. As everyone knows, our young kids estimating about a number around 20 million. Wait, I gotta look online. How many citizens in Minnesota? Like the largest city. 5.8 million people, and they're saying they're feeding 20 million kids. The numbers aren't numbering. Like, I'm not a math Asian, but somebody in Tim Walz is in his government, or at least in Mayor Jacob Frey's government, should have saying, "Hey, look, we're paying them to feed 20 million kids, despite the fact that there's only 5 million people that live here." What are we doing? 10 million for school kids. 20 million school kids only get their food from school. Yeah, we're not the world's food bank. If we still have American kids all throughout the country that are food insecure, why is all of a sudden this one more valuable than others? I'm telling you right here, this slop is not however much they're charging the taxpayer for it. It's sad to say, but it's like how much money the schools get for food per meal. I think even the homeless thing, like they were showing essentially like the Nutri-Loaf they're giving the homeless, but it's like, oh yeah, feeding one person is $20 a day in the government program. It's like, no, someone's taking a huge cut out of this. It's law called the Meals Act. It makes it easy. It makes it at this time of the pandemic, so it makes it easier to defraud the government. See how easy it is to feed the needy, not to mention that there's no oversight over it. I think she's complicit. Not complacent. Is complacent, but I think she's also complicit. The kids who aren't in school, who are at home, don't starve, so their families could get a chance. I don't believe this. I think this was just a way to pull at your heartstrings and say, we're helping the needy, just like the homeless industrial complex. Hey, they're battling the luck. Let's help them get back on their feet. Give me $8 billion. Somebody got rich, homelessness got worse, and yet they need more money because no one's stopping them. But here she is telling, what is it, CBS, I think is the logo, saying, hey, who's the most impacted about the $8 billion of fraud that went back to Somalia? Them.
7 people charged, all but 8 are of Somali descent. And that has...
How many?
Of the 87 people charged, all but 8 are of Somali descent. And that has added to the spotlight being put specifically on your community.
So mad.
Why do you think this fraud was allowed to get so widespread?
Well, I want to say, this also has an impact on Somalis.
See, it immediately pivoted. They're committing fraud on the American taxpayer. The recipients are the most impacted. Good God, like just like that girl over there, the Maine mayor. Where they say we're just trying to help our country. I mean, our former country. They're just doing it in our face and they're laughing about it.
Because we are also taxpayers in Minnesota.
How many of them are net taxpayers? I really want to know.
We also could have benefited from the program and the money that was stolen. And so it's been really frustrating for people to not acknowledge the fact that we're also, as Minnesotans, as taxpayers.
What is she What? What did she say? I see a lot of talking. I see a lot of moving of her mouth. I don't see a lot of points being made.
Really upset and angry about the fraud that has occurred.
I'm gonna shake my fist at this, even though it doesn't. There's no like fixing of it. Oh yeah, we're throwing them in prison. They're making us look bad. That's the thing that also with like Mayor Jacob Frey was doing. Like, hey, when you go after one of us, you go after all of us. I want it to be, hey, when there's criminals that are making us all look bad, I want them in jail. Like, if there was a bunch of Koreans out there committing fraud, I wouldn't say, hey, man, stop blaming all Koreans. It's really hard on all of us. Like, take it as a guy that isn't Chinese. But when COVID was happening in deep blue Los Angeles, people were putting Chinese racial slurs on me, trying to say it's the Wuhan thing. I'm the reason that everybody's locked down. And I'm telling you right now, it wasn't MAGA guys in red hats saying this to me. It was everybody else in Los Angeles. But it's not about, hey, be easier on those scientists that likely made that virus. It's impacting. It's like, no, it's like, throw them in prison. If you're making us look bad, get them out of society. How come she isn't like highlighting the idea, hey, if this money went to literal terror, make sure those guys are in prison the rest of their lives. Don't simply deport them because they'll come back. Put them in prison for centuries. Give them huge prison sentences. If she was saying that, I would somewhat understand, like, hey, it's very frustrating. People have negative connotations to law-abiding citizens, but here's what we did to get rid of the bad apples. Not, we got to protect the bad apples so we all don't look bad. Nonsense.
House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism.
Yes.
A possible link. He said...
Possible link. There's a link. Okay, cool. Okay.
They're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because...
How? She doesn't even know what they're talking about. She's just laughing about it, laughing in your face. Hey, your money might likely went to funding terror. I'm pretty sure we're not guilty. Ha ha ha. I hope so. Nobody sees the video of me literally inside the place that did $250 million of fraud that went to that terror group. Ha ha ha. I'm pretty certain I'm not complicit with that crime.
There are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI. And
it's everybody else, guy. It's Biden's FBI that's there to blame.
Our court system in not figuring that out and basically
she's got Fauci hands when they're saying, hey, did you fund the Wuhan lab? Did you fund the gain of function? And he has his rubber band. I don't have a rubber band. When he's like fidgeting and stuff like that, you got Fauci fingers. That's what she's got right now.
Charging them with these charges. And so I do know that for many years, this sort of like alarm that there is money being transferred through the airport in bags and going to terrorism that accusation has always existed.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the real money that went over there. What? Making up what is it called? Straw man, making up a false scenario and attacking that and saying, if this ends with Trump, I'm going to lose it.
It's never been here and there in those accusations.
House Republicans and the...
Yeah, nuts that it is, but here it is. This is what it is. It's always about this, and I'm getting sick of it.
I want to ask you about something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said. On Thanksgiving Day, he posted, no magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands. What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America?
Yeah, because here's the thing. I saw a meme out there, and they're like, yeah, if you meet your Korean neighbor that just got to America last month, they say, hi, my name is Mike. And then all the other cultures, they say, well, hi, my name is, and it's like, the thing back from their home. And I'm like, I think that's what they call Asians, like East Asians and sometimes Southeast Asians, the model minority, because they're desperate to assimilate to American values. Like I know every Korean person, their name could be like something, I don't even have a good thing on my name, Chin-E or whatever. Like it's Korean that we always have like the 3-syllable names. They'll say, oh, my name is Jeannie. Or they'll say, I don't even even if it doesn't sound like Crystal or whatever, they'll say my name is Crystal. They'll get an American name. I know Chinese girls all the time where they'll be in China, they'll come over here and they'll just pick their English name. Oftentimes it's just some random word, but there's certain ethnicities that are just desperate to become American. And then other ethnicities saying, hey, look, back home is so much superior here. You're going to embrace my culture. By all means, that's fine. But why is it this whole offense? You're taking offense to the idea, hey, maybe you came to America because of Western values. Maybe you fled a different country because it wasn't conducive to prosperity. And you trying to bring it over here isn't reminding her of Nazis. It's just the reason you came here in the first place.
How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric.
Oh, now see that they're overusing it. Racist, white or supreme, Nazi. It's like all the keywords. I labeled you this thing, so now you got to be scared. You got to be too scared to say maybe assimilation is how things should be. I don't mind what race, ethnicity you are. I would say a good 50% of the employees I hired when I have like a security gig where I was a boss and I was hiring people that are like, nobody had to have an education. You just need to be a hard worker. Half of the guys I got in that were great employees were people that were like in the country for a couple of years. Nigerian, South African, what do you call it when they're from Cameroon? Cameroonian? I don't know. I don't know what. Chat, let me know. How do you say Cameroon? Someone from Cameroon. But yeah, just the people there. It's like, but all the guys were like, I want to become American. I want to, embrace your values, watch your football, all that. Yeah, nobody really knows about that. But just the idea, like, they want to come here and assimilate, all the better. Us asking you to assimilate to a country that you voluntarily came to shouldn't be offensive.
It reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people.
Are there any camps? Like, there's deportation to your home country. I don't think the Nazis were offering you a CBP-1 app to say, if you're here illegally, here's $1,000 and free airfare out of the country. Alligator Alcatraz is just a processing facility. It's not what you're saying it is. And you saying this is like the Nazis is so disrespectful to anybody that actually went through that. Garbage people.
In Germany. And, as we know, there have been many immigrants who have tried to come to the United States who've turned back, one of them being Jewish immigrants. We know the way that people were described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants. We know the way in which people were described back then when they were Italian immigrants. And to me, we're, yes, of course, ethnically Somali. We are in this country as Americans.
Yeah.
We are citizens. We are productive part of this nation, and we will continue to be.
But not if you are continuously protecting those that defraud the country. Because here's the sad part. For everyone that's going to be a hardworking person that you want to be a part of it, because everybody here would love a foreigner that came here the legal way, that pledged their allegiance to America, that just wants to live the American dream, white picket fence, drinking beer, watching football, working hard, and just assimilating to the culture. And you would like to send away all the blue-haired Democrat liberal stand and block the freeways when the things don't go their way politically. You'd like them to go away, but this scenario needs to be addressed right here. This is nuts that she's like, oh yeah, we're Somali, we're part of the country. I would venture to say not this individual, not because he's Somalian, but because what he's saying.
My biggest fear in life is that this man may never witness our full takeover.
Takeover.
He may never witness that. He already witnessed our partial takeover, our little success in America. And he is the reason, actually, I know that the community in America is thriving. He is how I know. It's like, he's how we measure our progress.
How you measure your progress is how much you take over the country. I would like to say, I don't want this individual in the country. Not because of his race, but because he's saying he wants a complete takeover of the country. Like, how is that a net positive to hear? How is it, if they need to flee their country, how is it that making this country a takeover and becoming like the same place you left a win even for him?